I see beer and empty glasses. That means, that's just a clever gesture to the topic we're going to be discussing today, which is the finale of Darth Vader. Oof. Mm-hmm. Oof. I'm just super excited to talk about that. But first, I think we have some Outlaw Corner news. I think we're progressing in that game, and I think Adam has some special news to share.
Oh, yeah, it's good to brag. I'm gonna brag on air for a minute. Yeah, guys, I platinumed this game this afternoon. Yeah,
congrats,
I did
buddy.
it. Thanks,
great job.
Thanks. I don't know if I feel good about myself, but I did it.
Why not? Why wouldn't you feel good about yourself? This is a major achievement.
Here's why I may not feel good about myself. I spent an hour and a half this afternoon crawling into ducks in the Pike Syndicate, knocking out a guard and getting caught in order to get my thing down, because that's the fastest way to get my thing down to terrible is apparently the last rating you can have with the Syndicate. And then I realized, I want to actually get all the outfits. I have to get up to perfect rating on Syndicate. So now I'm going to spend the next 4 days trying to get back up to perfect with Syndicates, with the Pikes.
I mean, I think that's just poor planning.
Well, I wanted to platinum it before I 100%ed it, which is such a gamer thing to say, which is so... I hate myself for even having to say that.
Underworld problems we're hearing about right now.
Yeah. First world underworld problems. I'm still in the I just kind of want to do this, and I'm pretty close to end game right now. And I can sniff it, I can smell it. So I'm just sort of getting all the things. I'm gearing up, getting my abilities up, and and there's certain gear I want based on what I've talked to you guys about that I feel like I should have in my my holster in my backpack before I enter the thing. So I'm doing that. I'm having a good time. I'm exploring Tatooine, which is amazing.
I'm so happy you've been in and around Tatooine at this point, because
let's talk Tatooine.
I've been wanting to talk about this for a while now.
Yeah.
And we did some story talk, I think, as well. How far are you in the story, Ben?
Pretty far.
Okay.
I think we have a full team.
So where are you with Slimo and sort of...
we have a full team. I'm trying not to spoil for other people, but...
I think. I mean, what we can say is it's this thing's been out.
Oh.
I think, Ben, I think you are the bellwether for what we can talk about.
Okay.
I think the rate you're going at is close to, I don't know how to say this without being insulting, but at the rate of the
I'm the mean average.
Players, right. A lot of
I would say
dedicated video game podcasts have already done a spoiler wall,
left end of the bell
story, all that sort of jazz.
Yeah.
And that was around the week of release. I haven't played the game a lot since the week of release either. But I'm loving the photo. I'm a huge photo mode.
That photo you just sent us, Grant, is amazing.
Yeah, it took me a while to get that photo. I basically had to ride around the desert and have the crate dragon chase me in every which way until I could really get kind of what I thought was cool action block.
All right, well, now we know what our Instagram post is going to be this week.
But all I do is just take photos in this game, and I love it. I'm just going full Terrence Malick on Stormtroopers for 35, 40 minutes, and it's so much fun. And just, all the antics you can get up to and sort of just take snapshots of that it's so cool. But I do want to know where you are in the story, because I do want to start to broach that at some point. Just in terms of maybe major character reveals, how legacy characters are utilized. Maybe some of the big sort of twists in the story.
Can I just ask a legacy character question, since we all know? So Ben, you have been through Jabba's palace.
Yes, sir.
You have crawled through the vents of Jabba's palace.
Yes. Oh, right.
Did we all see the spoiler alert to people? Did we all see the only Boba Fett reveal in this game?
Yes.
We all looked left.
And it was a jaw-dropping moment. Your jaw does hit the vent floor when you're doing that too. You're just oh my God, Boba Fett! You're kind of just like a kid again. It's really just I don't know how the game did such a beautiful job of sort of showing us glimpses of certain characters that we know about and love, but not really letting us encounter Boba Fett, which is cool. I actually like that it was sort of restrained in that manner.
It's wild. In this game, the only No, I'm not gonna say it because Ben hasn't gone to the end. So I'm gonna say the sentence. Yeah,
Thanks.
we'll talk
Where's
about it.
Slimo
We'll talk about it. Yeah.
right now? What's Slimo's status right now?
Who's
It's the maid
Slimo's
villain.
the Zarak-Besh Dawn.
Yeah. Is it Slimo? What is it?
Yeah.
I mean, Slimo is two things. It's a swear.
Well, you guys have played it.
Or
last time I checked, this
it
afternoon
is also
you guys played.
shout out to Slimo the band.
Yeah.
It is a Providence, Rhode Island band that does death metal, and they only sing in Huttese, and they play all the time. And I swear to God,
We're gonna
Slimo,
go.
I'm going to see you.
Sorry, it's Sliro.
Sliro, but hey, Grant,
Marsha.
Slimo is a Star Wars term, so you're good.
Yeah.
Like it's good. But I'm going to see you, Slimo. I promise.
I have not played the game since
have a
release
4-year-old.
day. Upon beating it within the 3 days that I was given to play the game prior to release, but just maybe some photo mode dabbling. Again, love photo.
Yeah.
But
also check out
where's
Poke the
Sliro
Vampire.
for you right now, Ben? Like, what is he?
Kind of unknown. I think he was doing some back alley deals with Bib Fortuna. Was the last time I saw him, but no, I have a full team. We'll say now we have picked up a second slicer and a new heavy, and then that's where I sort of jumped off to go grind.
Yeah, so you are.
Are you doing any Akiva stuff?
You're
Are you doing any like things that where you're launching from Akiva and doing some major story stuff from there?
Yes.
If you have a full, if you
Okay.
have a full team,
I have the full team.
have you gotten the warning of like this is the end game? Yeah.
It's kind of been intimated. I was like, was that my warning?
Oh,
Was
you
there
will
ever a
get-
prompt on the
you will
screen that
get-
was like, if
yeah,
you
prompt.
do this
You will get a
mission,
full prompt.
you
Oh
will?
yeah.
Like this is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have not received
You're
that.
close,
but
though.
I'm
You're
really
probably-
close,
Okay.
yeah.
We'll
I've
talk
got-
after
I'm
that.
guessing if you do-
you got to get past that
Yeah.
little
But
bump.
yeah, not a lot of huge ones. I think I met the drummer from the band in Jabba's palace, and I'm like
Oh,
pretty
nice.
sure it's
right.
it's actually a
Actually,
named character. No, he's
Yeah.
the keyboardist.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's got, but I think he is a named character. Like, there's a lot of like deep dive
Yes.
people
yeah.
there, but
Yeah.
like not a lot of big ones. Yeah, Temmin Wexley, Lando Calrissian.
Yeah. I really appreciate that they're going kind of like deep bench for a lot of the people you interact with, and like the one thing I cannot get over is how much they are referencing War of the Bounty Hunters. Like in random stuff. I'm like, good for you. Like it doesn't mean anything to the uninitiated, but it doesn't take away. They're doing the Star Wars thing, right? It doesn't take away from your experience. But I'm like, I read those comics. That's amazing.
Because ND5 and Jalen were there. They say that they were in the gala, the ballroom.
Oh, really?
Han Solo was being auctioned off by Kira.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I did talk
They
to
were
the
there.
guy that was like looking at Han Solo, talking about what it's like to be frozen in carbonite. That was
Oh,
pretty
so
cool.
you saw all that stuff then. So you
I
had
went
the
back
Han
in.
experience, huh? Like that was pretty magical. I really like the whole Jabba's palace situation was on point in this game. So when people knock this game, I'm like, please go to like Tatooine and do all of that, and then come back and talk to me because
I've loved every minute of it. I'm just savoring every mission. I'm having such a blast, like gearing up, grinding, going on these wild missions. Like I just I just had to hunt through like a bunch of bars in Tatooine trying to like uncover this this drummer like that was just like a barfly that's they needed to go play a gig at Jabba's palace. Like that stuff is awesome for me. It may be stupid, but it's they're all a little different. And you had to like play the jukebox to get a hint as to where he is. Like that stuff, like you got to figure that out. Like
wait, so here's the amazing thing. I don't know what you're talking about, Ben. I haven't done that.
Yeah, right.
Like that's the thing about this game that I think is amazing. It's like I have platinum this game and I'm still running around.
Yeah.
And like ever so often going, well, that person's talking. Let me go over there. And like I have like just in trying to 100% and platinum it, I think I have like 17 unfulfilled side quests that I've just accidentally racked up. And every time I interact with someone, I'm like, it's Star Wars. This is just Star Wars. It's amazing. And I think like I don't know.
It's a must-play game
living
for
in it.
Star Wars fans. Like I'll just say that outright. Like if you love Star Wars, if you're a big fan, this is the perfect game for you. It's easy enough that almost anyone can pick it up, and then throws you into the galaxy like no game before it. It's pretty amazing.
The other thing I will remind people is this may come across as condescending, and I apologize if it does. But don't forget, you can go into the setting modes and change the things that frustrate you about it, right?
Yeah.
Like you can make the combat more or less challenging. You can make the detection for stealth more or less, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make it clear that you can do that,
but it's very
but
customizable.
It's very customizable. And if you're just in it for the story, which if your barrier is like, I'm not good at video games or I don't enjoy the combat, set all that stuff down to story mode and have a blast exploring and getting all these stories. Like just
yeah, it's been a blast, man. And this leads me to sort of like some news we heard about this game, which is, there was a quote coming out like Ubisoft is under fire, not just for this game but for like some other ones as well. But
they pushed their Assassin's Creed title, which was set to release, I think.
Oh, I didn't even hear about that.
Right,
okay.
Which is the one. Yeah, it's like that's the Ghost of Tsushima copy they've done. Which
that game looks so boring.
I'm sorry. Tsushima 2 was just announced as well, which is like, what? Are you kidding me? We're going back.
Yeah, but Adam, it's a female hero, so heroine. So
woo!
Yeah,
no girls allowed.
No girls allowed, right? Oh
You're off the pod.
I hope everyone who knows this knows I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, I mean, because we're in love with a game that has a female, like,
right.
avatar, and I don't even think about it ever.
Also, if you played Assassin's Creed Valhalla and you didn't play as the female character, you played that game wrong.
I also say that about Odyssey. Ditto on Odyssey.
Yeah.
Cassandra was just the character.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyhoozle. It's like, so there was a quote coming out of Ubisoft saying, like, they thought they were going to sell about 6 million copies of this, and they're on track to maybe reach 3 million. So about half of what they expected. I don't know. I mean, it's getting reviewed bomb, just like every other like Star Wars thing. And it's like, and I'm reading these reviews and I'm like, you haven't played this game. Like anyone that says that this is a reskin of an Assassin's Creed
this
game,
is the most common complaint
you're wrong.
I've seen. Yeah.
It is.
No, you haven't played the game.
Honestly,
you've read other people.
If I played this game and didn't know who the developer was, I wouldn't even think it was an Assassin's Creed game at all. I would.
No.
I mean,
right.
It's close.
You're not allowed on the rooftops in this game. It's hard enough to design these maps and give you a one-to-one sort of mosaic.
Everything's different. The speeder mechanics are wild and really customized. Like everything is so bespoke to Star Wars. It's a beautiful Star Wars experience. Everything is.
I will say this: did they borrow from a lot of open world games?
Yeah.
Yes.
But like.
Which is every open world game, but they mishmashed it into a way that makes it unique. Yeah. Right. Like that's.
And the reputation system is new, and the way that you rank up through mentors, is entirely new, and it's
and organic.
And it's fantastic. And so
I will argue. And the other thing that I think is being slept on is, like, maybe it's because today and yesterday when I was. No, today's Monday. Yesterday and the end of last week, I was home for a couple of days, and we were switching off parenting. And for my way decompressive parenting a sick 4-year-old was to play 45 minutes of Outlaws. Yeah. So that's why I'm here where I am. But I will say that like spending a lot of time in space over the past 2 days made me realize like there's a like second level to this game. And is it the best space battle game ever? No. Is it functional? Yes. And to have that add-on at launch to a video game is kind of amazing. Like what the closest thing you can compare it to if you're trying to make the argument that it's an Assassin's Creed clone is like Black Flag where you have the ship battles. But like that is also why Black Flag is the best Assassin's Creed game ever produced is because they had Assassin's Creed plus ship battles. And this at launch had this Star Wars game plus space battles. Like I'm blown away at that.
Plus speeder battles, which is no small feat.
Speeder battles, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. No, I'm with you guys. I don't think this is exactly a reskin of Assassin's Creed, but
no.
Does it feel like sort of more of the same Ubisoft open world experience? Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah. It's just, but just again, kind of a newer iteration of that with some modifications that sort of go outside Assassin's Creed, but like, because there's the regional boss patrols in Assassin's Creed that are sort of missing from this game. Like there's stuff that is in Ubisoft's sort of arsenal in terms of game design that's just not in this game, which is kind of surprising in terms of like, don't you want a sort of a Bosk like roaming, Tatooine, I don't know, near Jabba's palace. You can encounter them, and it's sort of different combat experience. I don't know.
Have you gotten to terrible raiding with any of the syndicates? Because
I'm saying immersion events
hunted.
Okay, there's hunt. Yeah, but sort of
you get not to the level
sort of
that you're talking about, but it's built in there a little bit. I do want to say, we haven't talked about chat and low-eye. Jason R. is really going hard for Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and he does not agree with my Black Flag, which I'm like, all right, fair enough. Brotherhood is an amazing game.
Jason R. needs to play the game.
I mean, I will also say he's wrong. I mean, Black Flag is better than Brotherhood, but Brotherhood's pretty good too.
Oh, he's saying Brotherhood is the best one.
Yeah, he's not coming at us. He's coming at me for my Black Flag.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I entirely disagree, but okay.
Honestly, a spirited debate about Assassin's Creed sounds like an even bigger waste of time than playing a video game for outrageously long amounts of time.
Yeah. No, it's been so fun. It's been super fun, man.
Yeah. It's a great game, and I don't know. Once you get through the story stuff, Ben, we'll talk about that. We'll do kind of a big sort of spoiler cast on the whole game, sort of our thoughts on the story, and maybe how the character could work in the canon going forward. Because there's lots of rumors about the Jedi games and Cal Kestis sort of carrying over to live action now that you have this sort of
You're breaking what I was.
Oh, really?
Let's have a conversation about that.
I never took those as I took those with a grain of salt.
So do I. But that's why it's rumors, rumor corner. Right. But I want to say one other thing about that, and let's shift over to that because I think it's an interesting conversation. Is that every time? So it's okay. So I beat the story. I'm going to put this game down for a while and go back to reading because I won't go into my whole work ethic, but I need some downtime. I'm a big believer in balancing work and whatever, and I have a job that allows me to do that. And I often fill that with reading, which is why I read so many books. But every so often I'll put that down and play video games. And so I'm like, all right, so I beat the story. Okay, now I'm going to go back to books. Well, no, actually, I'm going to platinum this thing. Now I'll go back to books. All right, I platinum it. Now I'm going to 100% it. So this game, I keep trying to put this game down, and it won't.
They keep patching it and making it better. So for anyone who's bumped up against it on release, they've patched a lot of sort of some of the clunk out of the game. It's
there's a couple of minor glitches. The thing that drives me nuts is every time, one out of every times I fast travel, the game crashes. But then it saves, so I don't lose progress.
Right,
and
it's good about that.
Whatever, it's not whatever.
I haven't run into anything that problematic as far as glitches go. I've had a couple of things, but nothing really bad.
And you're probably not fast traveling as much as I am because I'm trying to complete things. So I'm going.
I fast travel quite a bit actually. If I've sort of done.
How many speeders have you quick drawn on in a row? Because my game will crash if I just quick draw on 5 speeders around me and I'm riding max speed.
Oh really?
Whoa,
interesting. Are you on PC?
I'm on PS5.
PS5 too. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I haven't hit that, but I haven't quick drawn as much.
It's just more of a.
No, I'm just curious. It's just so weird.
You might have only played the game before the patch.
Before initial patch, maybe day one patch.
Yeah. So that might be fixed by now.
Then again, I would think that they would put out day one patches the 3 days before release for the pre-order crowd, but I don't know.
They did.
Yeah.
And it didn't cover a lot.
That's fine.
And to put my point in perspective, Ben, I am book 5 of the Wheel of Time, so that's what I'm combating against. Is do I want to read Wheel of Time or do I want to play Outlaws? And Ben, Outlaws is winning right now, brother.
I love it.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean, it is for me too. That's what it's like. I don't want to leave this world, and I'm gonna platinum it, and I'll probably 100% it because all these little fun missions are just oh, that's so cool. I'm gonna wring this one dry. Every last drop of Star Wars I can get out of it.
Yeah. Best.
So as Grant, I agree. And Grant mentioned that we heard that the Jedi Survivor they're kind of working full ahead on the end of the trilogy, and again, as Grant said, great assault. They are talking about Cal Kestis showing up in something live action, which is interesting to me because this came at the same time that we got the news that we're down to one live action Star Wars show every year. So this has to happen soon. So are we talking Any thoughts about Skeleton Crew? Do we get a Cal Kestis and Skeleton Crew?
Oh, that would actually, that would make a lot of sense if the continuation of this sort of underground Jedi affair would be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think the only rule is there are no rules to this. It's just like as soon as we've established there's going to be only one, like they'll change their mind. I mean, I don't know. It's just like everything's getting review bombed. There's this like echo chamber of saying people are suffering from Star Wars fatigue, but it's like, all right, so if you're suffering Star Wars fatigue, don't watch Star Wars. Yet people like will not stop posting about it and writing about how much they hate it, and it, and I mean, meanwhile, I feel so satisfied with all of Star Wars, and like I'm really feeling like even though we are the hardest core, like us and our listeners, Star Wars fans, it's like it feels like we're getting directly catered to. It's like we're going to give you a lot of Star Wars. There's going to be all this synergy. There'll be a new thing every few months that pops up, whether it's books or TV series or video games. Like we're getting all the things, and it's just like,
and the management of the timeline and the canon is actually astoundingly strong compared to other IPs and franchises. It's like the sort of management of the canon has been superb, I would say, from Lucasfilm. And I love all the new developments in the comics and the video games and the movies and the books and just how they play into each other. I'm waiting for payoffs when it comes to the High Republic. There's certain eras of time and long spanning stories that I'm looking for big payoffs and sort of to fully understand what was the initiative in the first place, to kind of delve into that stuff. But other than that, like I really just love following the characters and tracking them through the timeline and how the ripple effects that each character sort of has on other characters. It's like that's why I love Star Wars. And the more material we get, the more you sort of expand all that stuff, which is like the Acolyte I thought was an incredibly expansive piece of art that sort of like expanded sort of our thought process on the dark side and gave the audience perspective into the dark side and sort of shared new outlooks on the Force and sort of it had brought in a bunch of new Jedi characters with different ethos and sort of logic. It's like it was just a great show, I thought.
So this brings me to my question here, and it's like who's gonna win out? It's like we're even-handed, like Star Wars fans. We understand what Lucasfilm's doing. That's like people that really appreciate what's going on, or the like hate online that's just blind, that's actually hurting sales and hurting money. Like eventually it's like, okay, are they going to just turn a lot of people away? Will they not have enough money to support all these projects? Will they go back, or will they say like, no, we have a good project, and you know what, selling 3 million games is still pretty great, and we're gonna Ubisoft is turning a profit? Like, I don't know. Like ultimately, I know in my darkest heart that like it follows the money, but I don't know.
Here's the thing: we're at end stage capitalism, right? And so not to make this super depressing, but the dollar wins out, and I feel like here's the issue that is also happening is like the more and more I hear about the Acolyte in terms of like viewer numbers, maybe made up numbers, the production numbers, the production cost, they start to reveal those, and it doubled what their original estimates were for production costs.
Million.
So like part of it is like, okay, if you are a business person, which at the end of the day it is a business, I kind of now look at those numbers and go, I kind of get that decision, right? Like it's their, I don't love it from a thing, but here's the problem is that you have that, and then parallel to that, you have the review bombs and the racists and the misogynists online going
like
over
Russian
against
trolls. I know it's conspiracy, but like I really think this is like one way
we
they
saw
do
it.
this.
Maybe.
I mean, it's a conspiracy, but we also saw it happen.
Yeah.
Like in the other thing. So you have those two parallel tracks happening, and the problem is like, yes, from a business standpoint, it kind of makes sense to not continue on with that show. But then it fuels those people online, the trolls online, and it's a problem. It's a big problem.
It's crazy that wasn't brought into consideration before the outright sort of non-renewal of the show. Like to understand that like saying you're not going to renew the show and then to not understand there's going to be a toxic backlash within the Star Wars fandom was just kind of a bad move,
dumb.
in my opinion. I think the better move would have been to just talk about development of more work with Leslie and sort of move into territory of like possible new show at some point. But we have a big Mando and Grogu movie ahead of us. We have a lot of huge film projects ahead of us, and if we do these prestige shows, like it's going to be Andor and something else, and it's like just something of that high quality.
Just head it off at the pass, talk about it. Just say like, listen, this is a purely monetary decision. Here's why I'm making the decision. We love Leslie. We're going to keep working with her. We love having strong female characters. We're going to continue to do that. We love these things. That's not why we're making this decision. This decision is some things work, some things don't. Financially, this doesn't work. That doesn't mean we won't see these characters again. We're absolutely working with Leslie. You come out. You had no impact on this. This is not because of you. This is because of dollars and cents. But they don't want to talk about that because they kind of make this like they try to like do this La La Land thing like it's a creative thing. It's not. It's a business. It's a business like anything else. And I wish they would just be more upfront about that sometimes. Anyway,
I wish they'd spend their resources attacking Russian trolls and like doxing some of these like YouTubers that may or may not have received large payments from Russia.
I also think it's going to be a little bit more expensive than a standard 8-episode miniseries when it's a prestige series, when it's exploring a new era of time, essentially. Like, this is all new art direction. This is concept art, being done by hundreds and, possibly thousands of people constantly to sort of develop this timeline. So like for people to just judge that budget and sort of shut down the show because of the budget,
that's a really good point.
Also innovative in terms of its like what it has for messaging. It's like that was like crazy to me. I'm like, you're doing new art direction and kind of messaging we've never seen before in Star Wars. If you're gonna put your money somewhere, that's kind of what you have to do. And I think this was a shot in the dark, and I think it's sad that it didn't have uptake in the fandom. But
it's a huge that's a good point, because the second season also would have been dramatically less expensive because they spent so much money doing the first season. That kind of brings me to the Solo argument of like, the only reason Solo was a financial disaster is because you fired directors after they shot 95% of the movie and hired someone else.
And it became the most talked about
cost
story in the trades for months.
If you didn't do that and that movie made what it made, it would have been a financial success, because it would have cost half the cost. Like, you can't do that. You can't say, well, it didn't work. It didn't perform well enough. Well, yeah, because you made it as expensive as The Force Awakens when a Solo movie should have been half the cost. Anyway. Dumb and annoying.
Yeah, I think it was more than that. It was like $450 million. It was like 2 movies. But anyways, that's enough business talk. I hate the real world. Let's get out of it. I'm not here for the real world. I'm at this bar.
Let's get back to Galaxy.
Yeah, the galaxy far, far away. Adam, you said before the show that you had some rumors.
No, the rumor was just the Cal Kestis.
Oh yeah, we didn't even kind of dive into the meat of that, which is where is Cal Kestis in the timeline? I mean, post the Jedi games, is he like, what's going on with that character?
He's just levitating on Tanalorr.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's a wild thing, right? If he does show up in, there was rumors that he would either the rumor mill said he's going to show up in live action, and then I feel like this was like one person said this and it turned into a thing, but like if we're going to give it some air, the rumor mill then said it's got to either be Skeleton Crew or Andor.
You said Andor.
Because of timing.
For me, it's like, if there's one Jedi you grab and throw in Andor, it could be Cal Kestis, just because Kestis does do that Saw Gerrera mission pretty early in the first game on Kashyyyk, and I'm like, if Saw linked up with Cal Kestis, like, who's to say he doesn't show up at this sort of meeting with Saw at some point, or to do something with the partisans? I wonder. The rebellion.
That would be interesting too, especially if the third, because the thing is, like, if you show him in Skeleton Crew, it would work in terms of like Cameron Monaghan.
You got it.
I can't think of his name.
You got it.
Monaghan is like, I think the actor, like, age wise, it would work out. He would look fine. If you were to do it in Andor, what I like about, but the problem is if you did it in Skeleton Crew, the issue with that is then, like, you were revealing that he survives the third game in this series, right? Like, because we're talking about 8 years later or whatever. if you put him in Andor, it still leaves a question mark.
Well, the whole thing is
for
if Tony
3.
calls Pablo Hidalgo and he's like, "Is there a Jedi lying around?" I have like this kind of fun little like, subplot message about sort of being a Jedi and being this monk warrior. Like, and then there, Pablo's like, well, you got like Cal Kestis. He's kind of running around in the video games, and like he's probably like, fine, let's go. Like, whoever's out there that I can use, essentially, right? And so
who is like photorealistic to the character, who is an actor who's been on a dramatic series for 10 seasons on Showtime, like a good actor. Like, how do you not capitalize on that? It's weird,
right? And he's like in the he just has like a handlebar mustache and a mohawk and like a white like sleeveless t-shirt. And is like, it's that version from like Survivor.
To me, it's like so the game, so Survivor takes place
I think like 4 years after the fall of the Republic.
Really? Okay.
It's not too much. Like, obviously the first Fallen Order is like the year after. So it's only, I think it's like maybe 4 to 6 years. I haven't done
I hope the third game kind of reignites the pacifism in Cal Kestis, because he did have to use a blaster at the end of the last game, and it's a real dark turn for the character that I'm like, I hope he just throws away all weaponry in the third game and you kind of use more force and stuff like that. And then if you utilize that character in Andor, it makes a lot of sense to me, because I'm like, he never pulls his lightsaber. So you have a fun Tony Gilroy written thing where it's like, oh, he never will pull that thing. And then what gets him to pull it is sort of like, that's kind of the story, right? It's like,
so the timeline, according to Wikipedia, is 9 years BBY.
Whoa, that's a huge jump. That's 10 years then. That's a 10-year jump. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So Grant, I want to talk about what you just said, because I had the exact opposite idea. Okay. What if Cal Kestis turns into a dark Luke Skywalker? Because you have like the Rebel Alliance and the Partisans, I think is what they're called, the Saw Gerrera's crew.
Yeah. Yep.
And the Rebel Alliance are the ones that are keeping it sort of like clean and above board and virtuous and hope, and like, this is our mission and we're not stooping to bad levels. But we did already see Cal Kestis using a blaster, killing 1 million people, and kind of leaning a little dark. Like, what if he did slip over? Like, what if he goes the other way? And like, maybe in the game, like, I don't know. I could see
a story direction where it's like Cal Kestis is actually just a super strong warrior to have in your rebel cell, because he just uses both lightsaber and blaster and takes out as many Imperials as possible. He's basically like a key, aggressor in your unit that you could use. But like, to me, it's like, I kind of want maybe the third game to make him a pacifist and then have commentary on that. That's kind of where I
that's what I want too. But like, wouldn't like a sort of analog, Luke is to the Rebel Alliance as Cal Kestis is to Saw Gerrera and the Partisans, sort of like weird, like, a little more extremist. I don't know. It would be kind of interesting.
Right. I kind of like this. It was super interesting too, because then you have, this is all retconning, which like, people hate retconning.
I love it.
Retconning.
Yeah.
I love it. I love when like everything is like slightly different, because like, now you have episode 4 and 5, right? Where like, you kind of have like, you don't have this like hero worship of Luke. You have it kind of mentioned, but you think like, realistically, the Jedi are dead. Then suddenly a Force user comes in, blows up a giant like planet destroying space station, right? And he's not suddenly like bowed down to as like the second coming, right? Maybe it's because the last time they brought a Jedi into their ranks, he went nuts and killed a ton of people. Like, this is the thing, is like, maybe like they do, like, I love this idea of like the because we know the Parsons are kind
extremists.
Eventually they're extremists, but like some of them are like, they work kind of next to the rebels. They're anarchists, but they're kind of like within the same room. So I love this idea that like there's like fear around a Force user, because the last time they used him, he went dark. Not like dark, like killing everyone.
I'm not
like,
saying dark side. I'm just saying like a little more.
Yeah, like use extreme measures,
diverse ethos, ideology.
Which, because Respawn right now, I think, is working. Is it Respawn who does the Jedi? Yeah, it sounds like they're kind of in like pre-development phase, so they might be writing. And if they're writing in tandem to this, it'd be interesting if the third game is a response to this, of him then realizing how dark he went during this period and trying to become back.
Story-wise, Grant, I totally agree with you. And it's just like, he should, I mean, spoilers for Survivor, but at the end, he was told that he needs to keep this young girl from going to the dark side. And I think it was a little bit you need to do that for yourself as well. And I don't know.
I love those games. I love the story of those games.
But seeing him in live action would be cool.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
I would love that.
Yeah, any of this. K-Vest, like, how cool
also,
like, just like a scene where they're in the background in like a conversation and just like tangentially related to whatever story you're watching. I would get so much joy out of it. I know it's fan service, but like, I want
Even if it was like a Bazine Natal level cameo where she nicks, just like pickpockets someone and she hands, a credit chip to someone. Like, that, to me, that's like, perfect.
Ben, you could like say, I know it's fan service, but like we all remember the re-release of Episode 4 when Boba Fett, when Han steps on Jabba's tail, and then literally the next second of that, which everyone forgets because everyone's focused on that, is you just have Boba Fett walk by, look, and stare directly down the camera, and keep moving. Like, yes, Star Wars does fan service, and that's okay. Right. We're fans and we like to be serviced.
Right on.
Oh, the days when Boba Fett was cool.
Oh, please. Please. Enough of that.
Sorry.
I know.
Firing strays all around here.
Yeah, you say that to his
helmet. I love
helmet.
that we're so... which one? Yeah. I mean, if it's the one from the show, sure. Sorry.
Weird. Okay.
You know what? Every time a character has put their helmet back on in Star Wars, like after having given up the armor, it's been bad. Just say.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Every time a character has sort of resuited in old attire that's sort of grown out of or been, been taken from them, it's been for no reason.
Is that a Hayden slight? What?
No, I'm just thinking. No, Hayden, this was the first time he enters the Vader armor.
No, because he never took the helmet off.
Well, you have to be more precise. I don't know who you're dissing right now.
Think about later in the Skywalker saga when someone decides to reform a helmet with a monkey and then put it back on his head.
Okay.
I didn't want to spell it out, but yeah, I was trying to make Adam was mind surfing for a a bit, trying to find all the different moments.
I was like, I got the two.
Right?
Like, is there a third?
Yeah, I'm like, all right.
Yeah,
Ben's gonna find something deep cut in Clone Wars where I'm like, it is cool when Grievous puts the cape back on.
Yeah, I mean Rex, puts the helmet back on. That's pretty awesome. I don't know if you're a Rebels fan.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyways, I digress. Speaking of helmets,
I guess I'll give you that one.
Should we talk about Vader?
Yeah, let's do it.
So this is the last 4 issues we will ever get of a Darth Vader comic book series. In theory. Yeah. Unless we do like
until there's a dedicated mini series.
Right.
But I will say
of the Darth Vader main run since Lucasfilm purchased the IP, they've done this is what the 150th issue of Darth Vader that they've
around
done?
There. Yeah, which is wild when you think about because Vader is like the character. Yeah. But that character's lifespan is 24 years, 23 years, right? Yeah. And between the movies and the comics, there's not and Obi-Wan, there's not there's always room, but there's not a ton of room left for this character.
No,
it's wild.
Yeah, I mean, because they did 50 issues from the rise of the Empire / Fall of the Republic until A New Hope, and then they did 50 issues from A New Hope to Empire Strikes Back, which is insane, and then they did 50 issues
from Empire to Return of the Jedi, right?
Which is doubly insane.
Doubly, and I feel like the only time period left is that 18-year stretch. But they've and you got a little bit of Obi-Wan in there, but there's is there room for a movie? Yes, there's a room for a movie, but there's not you'd have to do a single mission. It's kind of amazing how much story they've told with Vader.
Yeah. And that's why it almost makes sense that this game takes place in that weird year between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Was it even a year? It felt like a week.
I think it is. I think they do in Canada. It's like a year. It's ish. Yeah, just about a year. Yeah.
But it makes sense because so much stuff went down. It's like, oh yeah, and then like, you know,
so
much
stuff.
So much that I will.
Yeah. Lots of stuff.
Always remember walking around outside with Ben trying to figure out all the things that happened between episodes 5 and 6 before we saw Return of the Jedi. Anyway.
Yeah.
And just for the Schism Imperial in these issues to sort of appear and do what they do. And all the characters that we know from the canon, like Slimore and Pride, and sort of, and just how they know each other and sort of building those relationship dynamics.
Yeah.
Ochi of Bastoon gets like a wild
comes back around again. Yep, we get kind of the cap on his story, which I'm like, I was like, when he comes back in the episode, Sabe, we get like a Sabe.
So much
like once again, like just the amount of time spent by Pack connecting all 9 movies is kind of miraculous, right? To be like, this story clearly takes place in the original trilogy territory, but there's a major character from the prequels coming in Sabe, and also we're connecting to Exegol, which is like the end game.
That was wild.
It's wild when you talk about all.
Have to talk about that. Also, I just love that he so gracefully landed the plane on this series, in that Vader's in that exact psychological state he needs to be in for Return of the Jedi. Like, it's perfect landing essentially, where he is, you know, ultimately broken, suffering from extreme hate, but ultimately subservient to the Emperor, and sort of just that's where he kind of is in Return of the Jedi. It is
the thing we've been talking about for, I don't know, 50 months when you think about this series, right? Of just like, I think we talked about this like issue 1, because they start moving Vader towards almost a redemption arc in the middle of this 50-issue run, or not redemption arc, but like being open to the light side. And we're like how does, and you're right, Grant, like he gives him an emotional arc that clearly connects him between episode 4 and 5 and gets him exactly where 5 and 6, and gets him exactly where he needs to be at 6.
And open to the light, sort of seeing Sabe, a familiar face reminding him of Padme, you know, their adventures together, him sort of turning on the Emperor, because the Emperor is sort of hoarding away these giant kyber crystals on Exegol and hoarding dark power, and also to blame for all that's gone wrong in Vader's life. And Vader's sort of catching on to all that stuff throughout this whole series, with all these incredible flashback moments that are kind of interwoven into the text. It eventually gets to exactly where it needs to get to. For all the characters, which was so cool. It was so cool that Pack was able to sort of create those different threads, and each direction that they go in is so fun. And like Sabe and Leia, like that whole scene in the very final issue was just so cool. And like what a crazy meeting, right? That's basically Leia with her mom. It's like the closest thing to Leia with her mom, essentially.
And Luke had some time with Sabe too, and Sabe's just like, I'm not gonna get into it. Like, I'm just like, oh, I mean, like, they never talk about their mother, like Luke or Leia. Like, they do one time. She's like, oh, she was beautiful, but it's like, but like, it's like that's the other half of your gene pool. You're so obsessed with your like the genes you get from your father, but they don't care at all about their mother.
But isn't that amazing? Like this issue, or these last couple issues, actually like give context to Luke's question of like, do you have any memories of your mother? Because Sabe talked to both of them separately about their mom. Like it's wild to think about, like planted the seed to have this conversation happen in an Ewok village. But like it's the Sabe stuff is interesting, because like this character comes in and basically gives both Luke and Leia a morality test. Like basically, like she comes in and like, if you don't pass this, I'm gonna kill you. Like she doesn't say it out loud, but like Sabe would have taken out Luke or Leia if one of them didn't pass this morality test. It's fascinating.
Right, because she kind of knows about the family dynamic, and I think she knows that there's good in Vader, and that's actually kind of interesting that that's sort of heavily sort of drilled on in this issue, in this final issue, especially that sort of Sabe's like, there is good in Darth Vader, like
she was right, it's there. And all these characters, like his childhood friends, all these people that followed Vader, like he is a bit of a cult of personality, but not because, I mean, yes, he's very powerful, But I think like he's done good things for all these groups of people, and they know that there's something more in there.
He's not a
Anakin
soulless
was a good
monster.
Good kid.
He's not a soulless monster, and all of these characters
does horrible things, and horrible things to horrible people. And I love the fact that Pac is again able to thread that needle, not like giving him a pass of like he's a good person, but there is he does the thing that needs to be happening of Luke being so sure there's good in him, right? Because he does save his childhood friends. He does a ton of other horrible stuff, but like that shows like, okay, do you want to
that final bit too where Ochi's like, do you want me to go take out those people who know about you in the desert, who are essentially his childhood friends? Which was wild to get that final panel of like all the kids you remember from the pod race and
they're
stuff.
like, I wish Anakin was here. He was awesome, you know.
By the way, one of those kids, same hairstyle since like they were 5.
I know.
Like 3 buttons or whatever. I was like, no chains on it up. That's wild.
Do you mind if I do my professor thing for a second here about this?
Yeah, of
all
course.
Right.
Please
bear with me because this is my favorite thing to talk to students about. Is like, so I'm trying to like figure out how to like narrow this down to not a 15-minute lecture and to get it in like 2 minutes. So
start
like,
with a point and then then.
We're in an elevator.
Okay.
It's going up.
So one of the
5
biggest
floors.
theories is that offenders are all sociopaths or suffer from antisocial personality disorder, meaning they can't feel sympathy or empathy. And researchers have gone in and tested, and the rates of sociopathy and antisocial personality disorder amongst offenders is no higher than the general public, which means the vast majority of people who hurt people and offend are capable of feeling empathy and sympathy, which is a really weird thing to think about of like, what does that mean? How are they able to hurt people if they can feel empathy or sympathy? Yada, yada, yada. This whole book does this thing where it shows that, yes, Vader is capable. The dark side people are capable of feeling empathy and sympathy, but things have happened that makes them lock that thing away. And the whole thing about, this is why I love Star Wars, is that his son unlocks his ability to feel empathy and sympathy. The reason why Vader throws the Emperor down the shaft is he sees his son suffering and he understands what real suffering is. He remembers what it feels like to hurt and doesn't like it. Like it's amazing anyway. So
no, that's incredible. That's beautifully said.
Pac.
Yeah, he kind of has that psychological collar, and it's just over and over again. You're kind of reminded of that he has gone a road too far where he's done too many wrong things, but he's still that little Annie from Tatooine, sort of highlighted in that final bit of the final issue. But I do want to talk about just how metal these comics are.
Please,
I want to skip past the Ben corner over here, where it's like, is there such thing as too much power?
Well, so I mean, if I was going to summarize this 50-issue series, it's sort of like Darth Vader discovers the crystal on Exegol and is just awestruck by how much power that the Emperor has. So he levels up. He gets good, right? And he gets like all this stuff for himself, and he's like, I'm gonna have all the power and do all the things. Attacks the Emperor with it, but like the Emperor's like, you can't handle that much power, and he can't. And it's just, he's like, because you still have empathy, and like as you're murdering all these people in like one fell swoop, he's like, you're still empathetic to all of them at the same time. And that's why I'm the guy and you're not the guy.
Exactly.
And it's like much more nuanced than that. But I feel like
I think you nailed it though. That's what you said was exactly what it was. It's metal, man. I mean, he's just like, I need a staff. I need a giant kyber crystal. I need a world-destroying death machine to power my like kyber crystal.
I need a shield that shoots a laser.
Yeah, powered by rods that hold like all the power of a planet that has been absorbed from a whole planet and highly concentrated, like world batteries. It's like, it's pretty much, dude. I mean, the shield and the staff, like, you can't really upgrade the lightsaber, but they kind of did.
Yeah.
Can we talk about what's happening in those panels and if that's real or not?
Before we do that, I want to define what we mean by the term metal, because metal now means just like super cool. But I think what we mean by metal is like side of a van spray painted heavy metal, right? Like we mean like heavy metal, like heavy metal the comic, heavy metal the movie. Like it is
pulpy sci-fi,
pulpy
sci-fi,
dark black armor with a staff and a shield with a giant red crystal in it, like shooting lightning.
It should be on like a well-worn paperback in my back pocket of my jeans.
Yeah.
Like that should be the cover of that. Like,
or on the back of my
80s
sleeveless jean
sci-fi
jacket.
poster.
Yes. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I saw at the concert last night. I saw a guy who was super punk, but he had a rancid. Never mind. I'll move on.
Fair enough.
I was like, I'm punk. That's not punk. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Well, you know.
No, sorry, I just
that
grounded that to a halt. Just popped in my brain.
No, but nonetheless, just metal. I guess in hardcore, or I don't know. What
yeah,
say
I think we mean like metal, like heavy metal, like that kind of pulpy, like you said, Grant. That
I don't know.
But I mean, the storyline could be metal lyrics. It's like, you won't be a prisoner in your own skin.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
there we go. Yeah, even like the sort of prose that's happening is like all conducive to this one, overarching feeling of this is either a heavy metal concert or literally a sort of like grandiose sci-fi epic with sort of exaggerated character details such as their hulking armor, their hulking weaponry, their hulking, ships and armadas behind them. Like it's just sort of like this feeling of sort of just the more heightened emotions that us human beings can feel.
Yeah. Whatever happened to the MAR troopers? The MAR.
Oh, we're gonna talk MAR.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I mean, they have like that giant black metal exoskeleton and like, they're all fairly metal.
I thought
but mechanically augmented rebels. Is that what MAR stands for?
Oh, yeah. If it's not, it should be. Yeah.
I think. Yeah. What do I hope happened to them? I don't know. I hope they all burned.
They're kind of OP, but yeah.
Wait, so what happened to all like the Suma Verminauts and like
they all died,
troopers and all that?
He killed
stuff.
them all with that.
There's like 4 panels where I have no idea what happened. Ultimately, it was Vader just firing like the biggest energy beam you've ever seen in a Star Wars comic at a bunch of
Suma Verminoth
legions of soldiers in Suma Verminoth with like cultists riding the Suma Verminoths around Exegol. I was like, so when I say metal, it's like when there's like a cultist riding a hulking Cthulhu, like to me that is like metal.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Is.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
is anyone at Lucasfilm paying attention to the comics?
Pablo Hidalgo is.
Would you put a stop to that? Because I like it. I
love it too. This is my favorite thing is when I think they all realize like we send these in and no one has comments. There's no
notes, and it's like, okay,
there's no notes.
We have
like
cultists
it's the time
Print it.
I tested. So like, I wrote my dissertation, to my dissertation, and I wrote to my chair, and he like ripped it apart in like a paragraph to like redo, and I went on a road trip for 6 weeks, and then it was like, screw it, I'm just gonna send the same thing to him and see what happens. And so I sent the exact same thing to him. He's like, this looks great, thanks for all my following all my notes. So like I had that moment of like, I can do whatever I want because no one's paying attention, and I wrote this amazing thing. And I feel like the comics were the same thing. Is it's like I feel like Pac was just like, I'm gonna try doing this, see what I get, and then I'm gonna try doing that. It got like all the way to this point where like,
but could that have all been
cultists are riding Suma Verminoths against Vader, and this is canon. Like this actually happened.
No, I don't know if it actually happened because he.
All right, yeah.
Palpatine's going full Professor X and sort of like holding Vader's temples. That's just after that moment, and I do wonder if he just rolled up on his Lambda shuttle. Vader is basically fighting maybe stormtroopers and maybe for me maybe a Suma Verminoth of the cultist on top, but I don't know. But
give him one.
And then Palpatine immediately sort of like creates this psychic experience where he is exhibiting all that power, but with the intention that it will sort of like cripple him.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll destroy him. As mentally tough as they've made Vader out to be, everyone they're constantly being like, oh, well, just being around a Suma Verminoth would destroy a normal person's mind. But he's just like, no, that's where I live is constant pain. Like, that's my life.
Yeah, this is nothing.
But like, even that, it's like the Emperor's like, you can't.
I like that the sort of lens visors shatter and you sort of see young Anakin's eyes. Like, it's like he looks so young in that moment where he's kind of looking up at Palpatine. Looks like a child almost. I was like, this is exactly where he kind of needs to be going for his behavior in Return of the Jedi. So.
It's the last business decision he makes where he's just like, Kark. and he just has to kneel and say yes, master, one more time. And in that moment, it's just like, it's the worst, dude. And I mean, talk about hate. And he's just like, I got to regroup and think about this again. Yeah, I mean, it was gut wrenching to me. Like literally, it made me gut sick reading the end of this comic, because I'm just like, feel so bad. Like, oh, this poor tortured soul.
Yeah, it is a wonderful magic trick in that Vader can't succeed.
Yeah,
like he can't. But you're reading. I read all 5 of these issues, going, well, maybe this is a good plan. Yeah. Like maybe of course it can't work. Like we all know where it goes in episode 6, but like
he's juiced up.
But Pack writes it in a way that you're following it along, going, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe he's got a shot.
Speaking of regroup, they do a sort of awkward regroup after that moment where they're back on Coruscant, and it's like the Schism Imperial. We're all actually just working for Palpatine the entire time, and Slimore and Pride. I loved that. That line with Ochi where he's like, "I thought you served Vader," and he's like, "Oh, I serve," or he's like, "No, I just I serve like the Emperor," and like, I don't know, I do what's needed to serve the Emperor, and it was just a great like moment where it was so good, so good for Pride, because Pride doesn't, for me, he never really got his big moment in the movies. So
no, I mean, like it's one of those things where the name of the actor just dropped out of my brain. I literally had it and it dropped out of my brain.
Pride. Yeah, it's a famous actor. Yeah, and he's fantastic.
Richard E. Grant, maybe.
Grant. Yep. Who is just like, the gravitas he has in anything sells it. So like Pride, I love, even though when you like dissect it, like if you just read the script, you'd be like, this character is half baked and doesn't do anything. But like when you have Grant doing it, it's just like, oh yeah, this is perfect. And so as I'm reading the series, I'm just like, so when did he switch from being obsessed with Vader to being obsessed with the Emperor? Because when we meet him in episode 9, he is completely Emperor pilled at that point. And I love the fact that like this does this wonderful, like just pulls the rug out from me, like, no, I've always been obsessed with the Emperor.
Yeah, this is I've always been on his team, which is like, so when you think of that Schism Imperial, he was a double agent. And Sly Moore, so we should talk a little Sly Moore, because I love her character arc in this series.
Right.
She technically is a double agent, but really I feel like she's like, well, maybe I can pull one out, but if not, I'll just at the last second repent and be like, no, this was always for you. It all worked out.
It's always part of my master plan.
Yeah,
which is
I do feel like Pride sort of says it best in that line that I was trying to dig out, which is one of the Schism Imperial, I forget his name. Korlek, he's like, Pride, like I thought Vader was your guy, and then he's like, I merely helped ensure that we can fulfill his true destiny, like all of us, in service of the Emperor. And I was like, oh, this is this underlying thought process for, a lot of these characters who are up in the Dark Council or Palpatine's sort of inner circle. They're definitely just.
Yeah,
they're just weaving and doing snaking around and doing what they can to sort of.
Yeah, it's very like that King's Court of just like backstabbing and figuring out whatever. Yeah. But I feel like part of me is like, Sly Moore actually might have been a better apprentice. This is gonna be wild.
Whoa.
A better apprentice for Palpatine than Vader, because she actually took the lessons on, which is, because to me. The biggest strength of Palpatine is all according to my plan.
Yes,
that's what he does every single time. And Sly Moore did the same thing. Did the same thing in this entire arc of just like, all of my design. And Vader's like, no, I want to kill people, and I have strength. Strength leads to order.
Yeah. That's what makes the dichotomy of the Emperor and Vader so interesting, though. You have this hulking brute, and then you have this mastermind architect sort of character, and that's what's so fun about this.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, Vader's a lot like Maul in that respect too. Like Maul was just a weapon to be pointed at people, and
right.
That's why Empire is so fun, though, because it feels like Vader's more cunning in Empire. So there's a kind of a cunning side to Vader that's really, really fun. And I think that's why that movie is just highly praised.
I agree. I think and this is what these comics rest in, is that like Vader is a fairly complex character when you look at his arc between episodes 4, 5, and 6. Like he does change between these movies quite significantly, and I think the movies do, and Lucas does such a wonderful job of explaining why. Again, it's all about empathy and sympathy and love of the son, but like it is like the Vader you meet in episode 4 is vastly different from the Vader we are encountering in episode 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
How about Ochi? How about Ochi getting force crushed by Vader?
Just getting smacked down again.
It's like Hitchcocky, and it like happens off screen. Like you don't even get to see the actual crushing that's happening.
The thing about this episode 52 is or issue 50. I think it's like 4 different stories.
Yeah, one long one and 3 tiny ones.
Yeah, all written by Pack, but there's 4 different artists. And the fact that the first issue ends with basically Ochi being crushed, and then the second issue starts with him being like, "I'm still here." Horribly maimed. Yeah.
You never see his face, so it's fun to actually see his face now and again.
Yeah.
Got the helmet on there.
Sweet helmet.
Then Anakin Skywalker is dead is sort of this final resolution for Vader, which is to be expected, I guess, for all of us. But makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it does do that thing where, again, like, we have to get to the point where in the bridge when Vader meets Luke again for the first time, like, when I watch that scene, it's one of my favorite scenes, is that it does feel like Vader's trying to talk himself into what he's saying. Like, and again, all credit to James Earl Jones. Every time I see that, he's like, I don't believe what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
It also feels he's more open to this discussion with Luke, and there's this sort of like awe that it's a child in that moment that is kind of really potent and sort of maybe
pride.
Yeah. You've made it this far, and I like the threads. The all black is nice.
Sweet drip. Sweet drip, by the way.
See what you did there.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you made a new lightsaber, and he's like, this is awesome.
Like, you constructed a new lightsaber, you got a new hand, you're wearing all black. Like, all right. More so.
I don't know if it's being a kid of the 90s or a kid of the 80s, and like, I love my dad. We have a multi-generational house. He was a somewhat distant father emotionally, though we've worked on that in the past 30 years. I just want to give credit to my dad. Like, we are very close, and we talk about our emotions now. But like, growing up in the 80s, that wasn't a thing, from a waspy family. And like, whenever I watch that scene on the bridge, I'm like, and he lights the lightsaber, and people are like, "Is it a threat?" I'm like, "No, it's pride.
It's pride." He's like,
it's pride. Like, that's a distant father showing pride in the son's work.
Like, such a good scene.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and it's funny. Yeah, maybe that's why they had to use the gold lightsaber, because, well, they never really crossed paths. But he's like, "I see you've constructed a new lightsaber," and it's like,
right?
Yeah, it's like, yeah. He did. I mean, and then he had one in between, which is wild.
Yeah.
And wait, so who had? Okay. Oh my.
Oh, the yellow lightsaber. The
no, I'm trying to think of green.
Where it ends up.
So, Qui-Gon's green.
Yes.
Yeah. So now I'm just like, this is fascinating, right? Because like,
where did Rey get the yellow crystal?
Hold on.
Oh,
that's a whole. We will come back to that. We will come back to that.
I'm starting with the point.
Starting with the point.
No. I'm going to abandon what I said. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
No, I'm
fascinating.
Just saying, I see a lot of comic work, especially Insurgency and all that's starting up now. I could see not only sort of the yellow lightsaber and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But, I can see
all
that.
I want is a lightsaber trove. Can I just see someone's lightsaber trove? Like, if it's Luke.
Where's Hu Yang at? Is Hu Yang around? Like, what's going on with Hu Yang?
I want to see Hu Yang's lightsaber. I mean, we've seen his workshop, which was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen. But like, he's like, oh yeah, no, I collected a bunch from, but like, if it's personalized with like Luke, I mean, he never got back his original,
right.
Excalibur of the series, right?
Yeah. But let me go back to the Anakin, right? So Anakin, his master, Obi-Wan, blue lightsaber. He constructs a lightsaber, it's a blue lightsaber. But his father figure that dies has a green lightsaber.
Yoda?
Right?
Oh,
no, Qui-Gon.
Yeah,
Qui-Gon, right? Has a green. So that's like, you think about Anakin, his first exposure to a laser sword is a green lightsaber, right? To this person that was always the missing father figure that died and didn't fulfill his promise. Yeah. And then he turns on his son's lightsaber and it's green. Like, there's
it's almost
gotta
as
be
if the
some
crystal,
weird,
the crystal turned for that sort of superstitious.
I have to think Anakin
Anakin
saw through it because it's just too poetic. It's like it's an identical copy of Obi-Wan's lightsaber, like hilt
to me,
with
like,
Yoda's Yoda's like color. It's like that's just
Yoda or Qui-Gon's, right? Like it's just I mean, I like the fact that you think he saw through it. I think he's dumb and didn't. I think it was emotionally manipulative and it worked on him because he's easily
to me,
emotionally
it's like
manipulated.
green really. Yeah, to me, I mean, when you look at the context of adding the prequels and the sequels and
it's all
the other extra
all,
lore, right? Because like I like to think about the original trilogy as like kind of their own thing before.
Oh yeah,
everything.
It's not like
it's
not like Lucas.
Yeah, like all the layers
about,
we're
like,
adding
stuff.
to it are actually just post adds to everything. But
we're creating the tone
I
poem.
think that like after the prequels, to me, it's like the green lightsaber feels like it's like the hallmark lightsaber color of like the Jedi Order, like or mastery of
like the most wise.
Yeah, like you start with you almost like you're blue at first, and then maybe you grab a green when you're a master essentially or something. Or like it's not like that at all. That's not the lore. That's I think my take on it is that it's almost like Yoda wielded a green lightsaber. Yoda synonymous with the Jedi Order. Luke is now wielding green. He is a Jedi through and through, and Vader cannot deny this any longer. That he is now a Jedi. You know what I mean? Like, and the Jedi live. It's the actual proof of life of the Jedi is almost the green to me. Because
does. There's something about that that's like, again, it's like when it's the magical color.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, it's the color I always want. Like when I did the whole Galaxy's Edge, create my lightsaber, and I had to choose my kyber crystal, I'm like green. No question. Like just
instant green for me. Yeah, it's like an instant.
Yeah.
I'm a purple for secondary because I just love Mace Windu's lightsaber, and I just if that's an option, I'm there. And Vanessa Rowe, purple, like everyone who's with purple has been awesome.
Yeah,
like,
purple's great. I love yellow. I love Maul, but like for some reason, there's just like green to me is synonymous with like wise Jedi Master.
Yeah,
is green.
All right, so I pulled up.
I like if I got to go. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. You guys are.
No, I was gonna say in top 3 colors though, I would probably go like green, red, blue, or green, red, purple, or whatever. Like red is way up there for me. Like I just love how the red lightsaber looks so.
You and I are pretty close. It's probably green,
so
red,
terrifying.
yellow.
Yeah. Red is a quick second for me because it's like
same.
If I'm not the highest echelons of the Jedi, like
right,
Dark Lord, right?
They can't be the best Jedi. I'll be the best.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is why you and I would fall to the dark side immediately.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, I pulled up a random website that someone made, but I actually agree with everything they're doing.
Sounds legitimate.
Yeah, no, it's just like there. But they've got green is associated with harmony, peace, and diplomacy. I do think green was like a consulate color for a while. They had, and then because we're going like old EU sort of. There were things for each of these. Blue symbolizes.
It's just like there's not a lot of like Padawans wielding green. You know, I don't know. Maybe Jekki wielding green. Yeah. That's right. Okay. Yeah. So Jekki kind of turns to it, but Jekki also Jekki's like the best Jedi in that show. So it's like she's wielding green because she's like a symbol of the Jedi Order in a lot of ways. I think she's just like when you look at her practices versus everyone else, I'm like, of course she wields green. You know. Everyone who wields blue is almost susceptible to like. I don't know.
Yeah. Blue is supposed to be like justice, protection. Loyalty. That's like that. You know, they were the protectors. Yeah, it's an offensive color, and I think that makes sense for Anakin why he would have pulled that one.
Sure. I don't know. Blue lightsabers feel kind of basic to me, to be honest.
They are.
I know it's like they are, but this is what we were exposed to. Throughout the series.
I think there's just so much overexposure of blue at this point that it's like
model.
Any other color, please.
Yeah.
Like
I do think green kind of looks the coolest on a Jedi. Like it looks pretty great. But yeah, no, I love going down these rabbit holes. But I love the idea that maybe that like the lost middle lightsaber of Luke Skywalker is the crystal that that Rey used. Like, give me a comic, give me something where she goes through his stuff and finds that lightsaber. Like, I don't know, that'd be super fun.
It could be in one of his huts on Ahch-To or something.
As like she goes back to Ahch-To, like looks through, finds that crystal, and it's just like
he probably has a stash, like a cache somewhere of like all the stuff that he collected with Lor Santeca. And I'm here for that. I want to go there. That's the lightsaber.
Okay.
The Luke
Skywalker. Or she's probably in one of the texts, maybe like the texts have a lot of like little accoutrements and like dangling things. It's like, who's to say a kyber crystal isn't like in there when she turns a page or something? And now like it's color of like the Sentinel or those sort of like the academic.
Yeah, which like think about like the thing is that it's actually like if you're gonna pull all this lore together, if you think about like the Star Wars main run between episodes 5 and 6 where he gets the yellow lightsaber, it is very much Luke trying to figure out what it means to be a Jedi, right? Like his like Obi-Wan's dead, he can't go back to Yoda for yada yada reasons. He's just like doing these like quests of trying to figure out what it means to be a Jedi. And that's kind of where Rey is at, right? So it would make sense that she would like connect more to Luke's yellow crystal than his blue or green crystal. Yeah,
'cause she's in scholar mode, just trying to learn about the text, the Jedi.
I love the concept of Rey as the guardian, like sort of the guardian of the New Order, and keeping, just like trying to start this thing, protect this thing for whatever it's going to become. And I mean, it would be great to have her like not fight, and then she's like so OP that it's like if she ever has to like take the governor off and fight somebody, it's like she's gonna mow the whole team down, and that would be really fun.
That's why the threat has to be kind of advanced in the Rey films, right? It's like whatever comes to attack the galaxy has to be as brutal or more intense than Palpatine, right? So it's like, what is that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love like secret tests of like Rey, just like she's still building her power, but she doesn't want to use it. She just wants to know the limits of it, and I'm sure she'll find that she's nigh on limitless. Like she can rain lightning down from you. Like she could do, incredible.
The lightning will come back if they make Rey films. Like the lightning
have to.
Back.
Yeah.
It would be super fun. Definitely. Super fun. Oh man.
I think a Padawan's just got to go bad or something. Like I don't know. Like what other threats are going to throw people?
It's tough, right? Because
I mean, what if like some of these hidden Sith, or dark side users, like like the Stranger, like they realize the Sith Order's dead, right? Because it's like been advertised and everyone knows. All right, there are no more Sith. Maybe they're like they band together and create a new Sith Empire, like or try to like band together. Like, all right, that didn't work. Let's another
go
like Sith army
way back.
Yeah, let's go Sith army
like
and
forget the rule of 2.
Yeah. So it's got to be like her against like 20 like Sith, or Darksiders.
Because here's the thing, like if the Force is awakened, whatever that means, but let's assume that means just like more people are becoming Force sensitive for whatever reason, and we know that there's no established Jedi Order up until Rey starts establishing it. So there's a lot of people between episode 7 and Rey's movie who are starting to access the Force. We also know that the dark side is easy and seductive. So theoretically, the majority of people without an order in place who have access to the Force should fall to the dark side.
I love that.
So there should be a power imbalance where the majority of Force users in the universe are dark side users.
Right, because being good is hard.
And there's
I love that. Like that's the conceit. Like it's a battle for Force sensitives and they all keep going to the dark side, and like Finn's at his wit's end trying to like recruit, and it's just like they can see this gathering storm. That makes a lot of sense.
Which then you make the arc is not like we have to destroy the dark side, we have to save these people, right? Like we have to, like, again, at the base of any Star Wars story is a redemption arc, whether we want it to be or not. Like it always ends up being a redemption arc. And so what if that is like the main thrust of this new Jedi Order is to redeem? Like we have to redeem these people who are redeemable, and there's going to be some that aren't redeemable. Just like in Jedi Survivor, my favorite scene is just like this Inquisitor is not redeemable at this point. But I will give her a good death and remind her that she was good, that there is good in her, or was good in her.
That is a good scene.
Book it, man.
Yeah.
Book it. Like that's, you can always count on our podcast around an hour and 10 minutes in. That's where you get the good stuff.
You just got to hang in there. The trick though with some of this is that this is billed as a standalone movie, right? So you have to tell a story that is complete in a single movie, but also expandable if it's a hit. So it's tricky. I
leave that to people smarter than myself.
I gotta think there's some sort of the cultist or Megzigul are waiting for some prophesized something, birth or something that's maybe
that'd be fun.
Something like that where it's real blood ritual dark side stuff happening, and then you maybe get a little older Rey, honestly. Like maybe Rey is a little older just to give whatever that is, whatever that, dark side story is, like time to grow. Because like honestly, it's gonna be tough to have a Sith Lord just come out of hiding. Like that's a real tough, especially when Palpatine essentially did that. Like,
yeah, I don't.
It's essentially
I don't really
tough to do that, where someone's at the edge of the galaxy,
yeah.
coming out of the shadows. It's like near impossible. To me, it's like Padawan goes bad, or the cultists from Exegol they've got a plan B. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like I have to think of who's to say Rey doesn't, in researching the text, she doesn't dabble in sort of Sith histories as well, and sort of go to these locations that are ancient Sith sites, and then a Padawan tags along. Padawan gets, some sort of encounter with a Sith wraith, like a la Darth Bane from the Clone Wars, right? Like something like that situation, but maybe more affecting, more horror, genre.
Yeah. So
something like that, and then you get a dark side Padawan, and then you get Rey will not dispatch this character. She will do everything to make sure this person's safe, and sort of she can bring them back to the light, right? And so that brings a complication into the mix. But
it would build off of what we see in Episode 9, because like as flawed as Episode 9 is, my favorite thing about that is that like she uses defense to kill Palpatine. Like all she does is block it. That's all she does. She uses her lightsabers as defense. She's a very passive character, in some ways, not passive, a pacifist character in a lot of ways in that movie that I appreciate. Her one act of aggression is when she stabs Finn, or stabs Kylo, and then immediately heals him, which brings him back to being Ben. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like I just love that.
The other
moment.
one was where she almost killed Chewie.
Right.
But she was trying to save the ship, not destroy it.
She was trying to save, but then that also sends her into a tailspin, which is like everything. Anytime she uses aggression in that movie, it leads to her having to figure out why that wasn't the most appropriate thing. So talk about horror. I was like, what if you did like The Strangers in Star Wars? So what if you had something like? So it's not exactly what I'm trying to think here. Like, I'm trying to combine I'm trying to combine this other thing where like, what if you had like basically we know they're recruiting people who are force sensitive, and Finn's out there recruiting these people who, unbeknownst to Finn, have already starting to fall. And so they've taken in 5 or 6 new recruits. And suddenly what they don't realize is they've taken people into their house who are Sith or Sith adjacent. And then you just have this.
So this is like the Acolyte situation where the fire and the trauma of the past was sort of causing this fall to happen.
No, that they've already fallen, but Finn isn't aware of it, and so they're basically pretending to be open to learning about the Jedi and really have been brought into.
That's great. So I like secret society stuff. If you do some kind of crazy, like the cultist, like the Exegol tattoo still lives, and there's all these people who, and then like they can have their under the breath moment with Rey where they're like, of course, Empress Palpatine. Like they'll like maybe even call her by the title that is like
maybe they're trying to convert her.
Trying to convert. Yeah. And it's good because it's like a standalone. It's really, you can do it somewhat inexpensively because you can do it real dark in one location. Like almost a haunted house in space with Star Wars. It's just great. Like these a whodunit. Yeah. There you go.
Anyways, we're just throwing these ideas out there
for
totally free of charge.
For free.
Yep.
Grab them up.
If you do it, I will not get angry.
Yeah.
I'll be so happy. Yeah.
We'll just be
Promise
like, this
I won't
is great,
sue.
guys.
Yeah.
Oh man, fun. Have fun. Okay.
Got it.
I'm just ruminating on it a little bit now. Now I want to go and watch Return of the Jedi again.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. To see those interactions, and it's just so great. All right. Awesome. I think we did it this week. Next week, I think we're going to review a book, perhaps.
Oh,
High Republic book.
Yeah, we could do.
We might. We totally might do that.
We totally might. It depends on when we're recording and how many days that is from now, and how
not enough
reading we can do.
Let's do that in 2 weeks. Next week will be.
Yeah, why don't we do 2 weeks?
Yeah, we're obviously late here. Sorry, on the release on this. Everyone's doing their best, and and then so in 2 weeks we'll do the High Republic book.
Yeah, we'll do something fun and random next week.
Yeah, it'll be great.
We'll just do a whatever, and then the week after that we'll do Tears of the Nameless.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
And I'll give you my Beware the Nameless 5-minute review. That's the junior novel.
Okay, great.
Far out.
Yeah,
I'll read it. Don't worry about it.
I've been waiting for Tears of the Nameless for a minute, so I'm really excited to read this one. I'm gonna
some good kind of early reviews on it.
Right on.
So excited.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, hey,
right on.
Always great to see y'all at the Cantina with us, having a couple beverages. We love it. Thank you very, very much for hanging with us. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week on
Cantina Chronicles.